Okay, back again. We're talking about dualistic corpuscular time-shared spaces. We're talking about superposition. We're talking about space-time, and the fact that these two things that we just said, or that I just said, space-time and superposition, are a dualistic corpuscular time-shared space particle reunitizing reality maker from a Big Bang, which is a singularity. If you think about it, what happened is that there was a whole bunch of matter that formed a black hole, became a singularity, and then from our point of view, it became a reality. How? Because at the moment that that singularity formed, it had swallowed up all that stuff, and inside, for instance, when it went past the event horizon, it formed a dualistic corpuscular time-shared space. It has the time-shared space has a when the energies, the particles, go over the event horizon, they get reunitized. Also, they get broken down to their base component. Then, after the reunitization process, then we know from the picture of the 3K background radio energy, that these things reassemble themselves. And if you look at it this way, it's really obvious that when it goes past the event horizons, those reunitization process reunitizes every resulting particle. There's no reason to think that it's anything different than this, except relativistically a different corpuscular time-shared space in every black hole. So in this one, we have what we've studied very well. So we have space-time, and we have superposition. And so I've been listening to Sean Carroll and a whole bunch of others, but today it's been Sean Carroll. He talked a lot about multiverses. So, instead of the switching multiverse option, which is okay, so when you have this, that's a long story, right? Anyway, there is an explanation, and it's the difference between potential particle and virtual particles and their time-shared spaces. So one of those is operating at a different time rate than the other, but proportionately beyond the dual corpuscular nature of a time set is that one part is space-time and the other part is superposition time. And those are two running at partially incompatible rates, or out-of-phase rates, or in-phase rates, depending. So that's how things happen here. The wave function is in the superposition time set, and that set is running at a different rate than this one. That's why it's out of phase. That's why it's fuzzy. And so when it snaps into phase, there's a coincidence, and that coincidence creates the particle in coincidence form. And the diffraction, the interference pattern is a trajectory that when it goes through the two, there's a frame of reference there, and there's a frame of reference there. And if you'll notice they don't ever talk about this. The slit has to be a certain size. That has to be a certain space apart. There's a range that works. If you go beyond the range, it doesn't work. So when you're within the range, the particle could be on one frame or the other. And if it's operating at superposition time, you're not going to know which one, unless you. And then one way to see that what I'm saying is true is taking the double slit experiment and rotating the whole thing, shining it on a round wall that's extended way out, and if you can go pseudo light speed, I'd predict that you'd see another pattern. It might look like a bunch of bullseyes, or who knows, but it's if it's not just smeared light, then my prediction would be correct, and that would be interesting, because then if we can find that frequency of superposition time, then you can make more, you can learn more about it. So let's see, I've got, this is something to do with some logic. I'm just going to read through it a little bit. You don't have to try to understand this, I just want to see what I was trying to think here, and I might clip it out. So 15 background to 1 to 15 potential foreground, let's say any level of blue and red are allowed, and green is what makes it. Oh, so basically on a cube, if you've listened to my previous stuff, this will make more sense, because you've got a cube like basically like this or like this, and that's the core. It's awfully fast to move it, I guess, but that would be the core. Now, actually, the core looks like this. Okay, and all particles believe that they're in the center of the singularity from their own point of view. It's an extreme of relativity. It's relative. They believe that they're in the center. The Earth believes it's in the center. The Moon believes it's in the center. When you stand on the Moon, you're falling to the singularity. When you jump, if you stand on the Earth, you jump, you're falling to the singularity, because of a unusual characteristic particle, which is all of space. And then all of space is actually diced up into one, believed to be one Planck length little sliced up pieces, and that is believed to be the particle that's reunitized. And that particle, or particles, I think particle, but you know, just throwing it out there. It's possible that it's a universal particle energy that reunitizes at one Planck length, and the Planck length is the decided size, the limit, because if it wasn't a limit, theoretically it would be not limited. At the same time, the particle that passes through to update in the various directions it has to, in order to create a cooperation of persistence in the frames of reference, have to be, let's see. So again, this is the core. This is the diced up Planck lengths. This little unusual shaped thing is space, and this round thing is how far from the very center. You can only see this far, because that's how far light will let you see. And here you've got the core, the space particle, or all of space at once. You could have a tiny piece that's still part of the space particle cut into a particle. And then the max distance you can see, and so a particle that's in the center believes it's flowing, going, it's just flying along like it always does, this particle. And flying along, it's a trajectory. It's going in a trajectory, say like this. You know, it's all over the place, whatever it believes it, you know, whatever that one is designed to go at. And so that particular particle from the point of view of the particle is doing that, but in the point, because there is an attractor in the center of the singularity, and it's going around it. But from the point of view of space, or the space particle, it is moving around the trapped particle, keeping it imprisoned. But within the space particle, since the space particle is diced up into Planck lengths, that particle can move anywhere. It gains degrees of freedom within the particle because the system it doesn't care as long as it's trapped, and they're all trapped. And you can look at it as though they're stretched out in a bottleneck of the gravity well, or you can look at it as though they're on top of each other on a separate page of all of space at the same time, one particle by itself. And then the next particle, same exact thing, over and over and over and over until everything is like that. Then what you get in our space, proven right here, right in front of us, is that becomes this core. And the update would be, here is 1 Planck time, and there it would be 1 cycle to update every part of that in one Planck time. It would be 1 cycle of Planck time here. Everything would be updated in the whole space in 1 Planck time. Now, is that faster than the speed of light? Well, not really, because within that corpuscular time-shared space, that secondary space, Einstein's general relativity is still obeyed. Turning the page. Well, let's see. Oh, I went back a couple. Yeah. So, then, I heard a physicist talking about light, invisible. Let's see. We have the invisible red, blue placed, and if green, space-time interact with just red, nothing. If it interacts with just blue, nothing. If red and blue act together, nothing. But if all three, then a color forms. To do this, any color not used equals 0. All 3 streams of RGB have to be intersect in order to be a formed color. YouTube, the elusive darkness of the universe intro was explained well. I don't know if that has to do with anything that I was writing there, but I was noticing that cuboctahedron was, if you take a cube and then you cut the corners off, you create this cuboctahedron. Possible reality block using light, 24 total trajectories that if incomplete, then no consistency, without a permanent particle in our reality. This could be the beginning of the simplest 90-degree omnidirectional created particle. These coordinates could explain spinors, because the particle spins versus space spin. So if you take the cube that forms the Planck length cube in your mind, it's a conceptual thing. You've got a cube that forms in space, and the space particle's moving, and you have also the particles that are moving, that are formed. The particle moves, but if space is unwinding, then you've got that integer, fractional thing going on that they have perfect animations for. This fits completely with my model here. Let's see. Okay, and then look at the particle alone as a place where multiple particles can coincide, and if they are stable, it might create a particle in our space, like so. Space particle's path in the middle. So here you have the particle, and you've got its trajectory. This is the space particle's path. Space particle path that's in the middle, and then you got space particle path here and here, and then the ability of a particle to be bound to the middle is in this somehow. Is magnetism and electricity two sides of the same coin here? Some of this stuff is just abstract, but the thing that isn't is the dual corpuscular time-shared space particle reunitizing reality maker. Or let me say that again. A dual corpuscular time-shared space particle reunitizing reality maker is a black hole. That is the white hole of our existence. The white hole of our existence is us. We emerged after the black hole formed. What do I mean by that? Let's see. After the internal structure of the black hole formed, and the Big Bang is complete description of the evidence of that happening. I'm going to continue to call it the Big Bang because it's part of our history. It's a fabulous discovery. Think about it. I mean, you don't have to rename it. It's fine. It's fine. There's no sound waves in space, but then again, you can change, like the gravity from the black hole. Turns out it's totally compatible with converting it easily over to sound, and you get that whoop, whoop. And by the way, in the design of the space particle being diced up into little tiny cubes in the space-time, it is a fact that as the gravity waves move through space, it's like ringing the bell of the singularity, and it because it's within the singularity that this other singularity forms, and it goes out of phase with that time-shared space and creates a new dualistic corpuscular time-shared space. That's another one locked in by gravity still, very interesting, but another dual corpuscular time-shared space. There's no reason to believe that this particle reunitized is not another singularity, which is weird, but something has to something's reunitizing the light that travels past the event horizon. So when the light goes through the event horizon, it's reunitized. How many Planck length materials are in light to create light? However it's constructed, who knows? But we can imagine. We prefer to think of solid things, but if these things are partially out of phase, like why is light transparent here? Who's to say it's transparent in both time-shared spaces? We just don't know that much, but we do know what's here anyway, and we do have a sort of an insight into the other corpuscular time within our time-shared space. Let's see, I'm up to 19 minutes, so I got 30 minutes at a time, approximately. So, the particle section over the last few pages is very speculative and has highly theoretical, if even applicable. With all that said, particles seem to be closed-door singularities because an external shell of magnetism would be so powerful almost nothing could break its bond. The superconducting magnet locks the superconducting magnet. Does the path of magnetism lock superconductor into place? I think so. This means that those links resist being moved, and they are in virtual space, and p particles are connected to the superconductor. Let's take another leap forward in theory. The base particle at an indivisible Planck size is simply one fold of energy and a second fold of energy reunitized to an equilibrium that creates a closed door or open door or subconditional horizon that can repel, hold, link, or accept. For a particle accelerator, the best configuration would be as follows. So I'm saying that taking two Cadillacs, which I think is a classical, the old ones, from the 70s, and you're hurling them in at each other at like near the speed of light, smash them into each other, and then you wouldn't do it at the speed of light, it would just be a mess. Let's say at like 200 miles an hour, and so we smash the two Cadillacs together at 200 miles an hour, and then take all the parts, because we don't know what we just crashed together, but we're taking all the parts we find, and we try to assemble the original Cadillac from those. And that's basically what particle collision, is doing, because we're always smashing them head on. But I was arguing that the best collisions could be cooperative collisions that are not head-on, that are angular, because light is offset. Electromagnetism is 90 degrees offset. So if you did it at 90 degrees offset, it would seem that you might get different results. Reality particles from the reunitization within black hole space is giving us a clue in how to create particles, as are the planets. Say like Saturn with the matter going around this way, and the the magnetic force going perpendicular to the rings. It's telling us something, giving us clues to the best particle manifestation is atoms caused by two 90 degree offset particle accelerators. Just an idea. We know that black holes collide, and what is the result? A new dualistic corpuscular time set reality, or does it just reunitize? Sounds scary. Yes. What if one of the black holes is closed door but enters the open door black hole? That don't sound good. Some particles have integer spins and some have half integer spins. Higgs field gives mass to elementary particles. Peter Cameron, we have a motion of force and we replaced it with a notion of field. The consequences are pretty much the same, just alternative descriptions of reality. In the early days of quantum theory, it was said that the physicists believed in particles on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and waves on Tuesday and Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday they just went to church and prayed. They prayed something, they had no better answer, so two aspects of the same thing. Funny. If the particle is in the center of the black hole, it has nowhere to fall. If the joint effort of the billions of particles is to fall to the center, it will balance at the center of a sphere, it's not that there is no force from particles near the center of a sphere. There is, but it balances like a teeter-totter. Okay, this is pretty. I got a whole new. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting towards the end of this book. I got one other book that I've written, and I got frustrated because cleaning it all up is a long, tedious process. But it balances like a teeter-totter in sphere form, spherical form. It's the centrifugal force that counters the centripetal force of our crushing black hole's gravity on all particles within the singularity. And basically those collisions of those black holes change the spring within all particles. And so this wave that occurs through space and matter proves that this model is correct. And not only that, my explanations of entanglement, the process of how that non-information information gets from here to here, explained very thoroughly. And every particle is in the center of the black hole. I keep repeating this, but of course, obviously, I'm repeating it to come up with different aspects of all these things that I'm seeing it covering, And but those particles are base. Let's see. Every particle is in the center of the black hole, but those particles are base singularities, counteracting the black hole's crushing force. Equilibrium is established. So, because of that, we live in a dual corpuscular time setting, quantum relativistic space. Every base particle is alone in the center of the black hole. Every particle is held dead still in the center of the black hole. Every particle cannot tell it is held still because the space particle moves around the particle trapped, and the particle that is trapped does not know it. The path it takes is a trajectory around the center of the singularity, because the space has no mass, but it is space. It does move around the particle. Space does, you know what I mean. This particle that is all space in the black hole is a single particle also. The huge, all of space is a unique particle. So that alone is crazy cool, right? Then every Planck length of space is also a unique particle. Both relativistic points of view. So when you say that the black hole is a singularity, it is, but then it actually picks as a reunitized size of a Planck length. And then a Planck length not proportional to our Planck length, but if it's a separate black hole, it will be proportional to whatever the rules are, which that Planck length, like a spring, is set by the rotation, the mass, the amount of matter that's in the black hole. Maybe what substances, everything can play a variation of it. Because if the base particles have variety, that's another variable that we're unaware of. I would theorize that there might be solid singularities, which are, there's not much space in them. There's a bunch of stuff, but not space. And that's interesting, because that's almost what not the atom itself, but the Planck length particles that build an atom. Those seem like they're more solid. So I would theorize that those big black holes that form where you've got big jets on either end, I would not just matter forming around, not just matter flowing in and shooting back out, but also what do you call it? It's like a pillar inside there that reaches from one end of the universe to the other. I said universe. I don't like to say universe, but in that time-shared space, there's a pillar from one end of the universe. Yeah, I'll say it again. Sub-universe to the other. It's hard to not say, but I don't want people to think that, because it's actually the universe. It starts with this, and it's